Good morning, Trevor. Good morning, listeners. And it's lovely to be talking to you on the 1st of February, the feast of Saint Bridget, Lá Éile Bríde. And the lovely Irish poem Céile Inis ag teacht an airg beg an lá ag dul chun síne, is always linked with the day because of the next line, Is tar éis Féile Bríde, ar dá me ma cheol, agus cuir me ma ceann ní cónaí me cuithe, go seasfí me síos I Lord Conta me all. Now with the coming of spring, the days are getting longer, and after the feast of Bridget I shall raise my sail. Since I got it into my head, I will not settle until I stand down in the middle of County Mayo. That was written by Raftery, the poet. Raftery was born in 1779 in County Mayo, near Kiltimagh, and Raftery learned the fiddle and was a well-known wit, able to compose songs and poems at will. He was a raconteur, but he was illiterate, and he learned his poetry off by heart, and he recited them by heart. But other people wrote them down. Our first president, Douglas Hyde, Douglas de, heard the man one day reciting it, and he loved the rhythm of the poem. And then he inquired with him and recorded it. And later in his studies, Douglas Hyde found more poems by Raftery. Raftery himself died on Christmas Day in 1835 and is buried in Kilneeneen Cemetery near Craughwell in County Galway. There are lovely traditions around St. Bridget. Of course, the obvious one is the Bridget's Cross. Lovely thing to give as a gift to a friend or to end a dispute between friends. A lovely tradition. They were to put up over the door on Bridget's Eve or even on the day itself. And it invoked God's blessing and led then into what we call Candlemas. Candlemas of the 2nd of February is the 40th day after Christmas Day, and it marks the celebration of the Lord coming to the temple with Our Lady. So the tradition that people would bring candles to the church to be blessed on the 2nd of February, the Feast of Candlemas. And they would also donate candles to the church to be used during the year, so that when Mass would be offered, their relatives would be remembered. Whenever there was a celebration, a church celebration in Ireland, there were lovely traditions of fun and games for people to play in the house. There are a lot of them around candles. One of the traditions around Candlemas, and watch it now tomorrow, is that if the day is sunny and fair, then it's not necessarily a good sign. It means that more winter weather was to come. So look out for that now tomorrow. But if the lark is heard singing on the day, the 2nd of February, it's a sign of an early spring. So let's listen for the lark in the morning. Then in the lighting of candles, a bright spark in the wick is said to indicate that a stranger is coming, or that a letter will arrive from someone who is far away. A wavering flame, where there's no draught, is a prophecy of windy weather. Now, we won't mention wind. We've had enough of wind. So don't be having a wavering flame tomorrow. If the candle doesn't light easily, it foretells rain. A bluish flame in some areas meant that we were going to get more frost. Now, this is a very practical one. It was said to be bad luck to leave a candle burning in an empty room. Now, that's a very practical piece of advice. Don't be leaving candles burning without looking after them. And if you're leaving the room, for goodness sake, blow it out and don't be burning down your house. The only exception there was the candle that was lit on Christmas Eve. That red candle was to burn throughout the night in the window frame. And it would ensure light, warmth, and plenty of goods in the coming year. Now, to snuff out a candle by an accident was a sure sign of a wedding. Why that is, I can't figure it out. But it was very bad luck to let the candle burn down to the very last, to the socket of the candlestick. It was said to be bad luck, and if you were a fisherman, you blew it out before it got there because it was felt that someone would be lost at sea if that happened. But if you think about it practically, I've worked a lot with candles, and believe it or not, Trevor, at one stage I was assisting Pat Donlan in the folk park in Bunratty, in the candle making efforts out there. So it was felt unlucky to burn it down to the last piece. And now again, that's practical because sometimes the pottery candlesticks would shatter and you could have a fire. You would avoid lighting the house with 3 candles. 3 candles lit with 1 match was unlucky. You could light 3 candles if you lit 2 of them from 1 match and then lit another from a candle, as indeed it was believed to be a sign of imparting poverty if you were to light the candle directly from the fire rather than using a taper or a match. I suppose it worked out practically that you were too mean to spend a match or too mean to spend a taper. It's interesting, they say you should never burn 3 candles at the same time. In the book On the Life of Parnell, Barry O'Brien writes that a friend once visited Parnell when he was ill and found him in a bedroom lit by 4 candles. And one of the candles went out, and he records that Parnell immediately blew out another in case having 3 candles burning would be unlucky. We started with a poem and we'll finish with a poem. This was written by Father Andrew Greeley for this time of the year. May the good Bridget keep you warm till spring and fill your head with poetry and song. And may your true love, with the help of Valentine, love you deeply this month and all year long. May St. Blaise protect you from the common cold and the sore throat, hacking cough and stuffy nose. May Mary, our mother's candles light your road, and at the end of the day, bring us all sweet repose. God bless listeners. Have a wonderful spring. Slán go fóill. Bye for now.